Hey everybody, welcome back to Amuse. We're teamed up now with music.net.nz, which is fantastic. Thank you so much, Lisa, for reaching out and bringing us to your platform. And we're in season 2, which means we've got new episodes, new guests. And tonight, I have Nick from the band Ekko Park. I'm going to look slightly this way because you're over there. How are you doing, Nick?
Is that right?
I think so.
I'm very good, thank you. Just hanging out in Titirangi. I just moved out here like 2 weeks ago, so it's a bit of a different vibe, and I'm enjoying it. It's pretty mellow.
Wicked, wicked. It's nice just to be able to chill sometimes and just relax and breathe the air and.
Yeah, man. No, I'm loving it. So it's all good, bro. Just just flat out doing like I was saying to you, just opened up a music school, so been busy with that, and the band's about to release some music. We're writing some more new music, and still teaching, and yeah, it's just music all the time.
Great, perfect. And I think let's use that as a platform for where we're starting. So one of the things that we did with the Muse before was it was kind of focused around, for school kids at my school particularly, and then other schools could use it, where we would talk about how people approach songwriting and things like that. And I still want to incorporate that, but I'm really interested in hearing from musicians about how they started, got into music, what inspires them, who influenced them, so that you get to provide insight to so many others. It doesn't just have to be school kids. There might be a drummer, someone out there who wants to be a drummer who's like 55, 60, who's never picked up some sticks in their lifetime, but you might be the person that gives them a little bit of insight and inspiration to do so, and then get in trouble from someone else for spending thousands of dollars on a kit. So let's start off with tell us about yourself, how you got into music and who some of your influences were, etc.
Yeah, I'm Nick Douch, born in Te Awamutu. I'm 33 years old tomorrow. Yeah, I started playing music when I was 6 years old, and I was like, my parents are big country music fans, so anything from like Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Slim Dusty, heaps of that. So I was like listening to a lot of that growing up. But what got me really into playing was seeing Crowded House. They did their Farewell to the World show. It was on TV, and we taped it on a VHS, and I just got super into that, and just was really inspired by Paul Hester's playing, and just him as a character. He just seemed like he just absolutely loved playing and loved being on stage. And then I also learned at that same time that Neil Finn was from Te Awamutu, where I'm from. Went to school with my mum, which I didn't believe at the
Wow.
time, because as a kid, anyone on TV was from America, right, or the UK.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't quite it took me a while to process that one, but yeah, that's what got me started. So I set up a pillow kit, just got a bunch of pillows, tried to copy the drums from TV, and just like ear drummed. Well, pillow drummed for probably a year before I got a drum kit. Um, and then when I got that drum kit, I didn't know what the kick did, because they never really showed us feet. I just thought it
Sure.
was something that held up the drums. So that got me wondering why all my beats sounded the same when I first started playing that. So yeah, slowly started figuring that out. And being in a small town, I didn't have lessons or anything. I was just playing from listening to music, whether it was Crowded House or AC/DC or Green Day, Nirvana. A lot of that I was listening to at the time. A lot of music through my brothers as well. So it was it was really, really fun, and just kept on playing, and the whole goal was to hopefully one day play in a band. And that sort of happened when I got to high school, which was 6 years later. um, Meet up with some musicians there. Got a few lessons to learn how to read music, so I could get into like the concert band and the jazz band.
Nice.
Which, yeah, they were really the only like formal lessons I've had, and it was really just to learn how to read. Obviously, through that, I learned a lot more skills as well, and then I just always learned off the other drummers at school, because they were killer. And we had a great drummer who came over as a student from Colombia, who was just like the best drummer I'd seen in my life, and he taught me a lot as well.
Mm.
So yeah, I just was always influenced by the music I was listening to, and the people around me as well. And I've been playing in bands and drumming ever since, really.
You brought up a couple of cool bands. Like Dave Grohl from Nirvana is he's quite a big influence to a lot of drummers out there.
Mm.
and I think his name is Phil from AC/DC.
Yeah,
He's a
man.
New Zealander, eh? He's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Yep.
He lives in New Zealand. Yeah, he's Australian. He's actually the only Australian-born member of AC/DC. Yeah, but
Interesting.
he lives in New Zealand. Yeah,
And
just
then the other Phil from Crowded House. So the interesting thing about those drummers is that they've all got their own different styles, obviously,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And if you're listening to them, you're going to be playing what they play. So how important do you think it is between like the actual learning how to read the music and then balancing that with just wanting to play and copying chops and beats from other musicians? Like, how does that
Yeah,
work for you?
I think like when I was a teenager, I only read because I had to play stuff in the school band, and I really enjoyed doing that, and I got a lot of great opportunities out of that. Like I started my first band through meeting people in the school band, you know. But I find like if I was a new drummer again, I feel like I might do a little bit of reading to help me learn more skills. Like I find as a teacher, being able to read some notation is really helpful, especially for practice. Because if you've got a teacher and they can say, you know, here's what we've been working on, take this home, and you can look at it and practice it, that can help a lot, especially for someone who's a bit younger who it might not stick in their head straight away. At least they can read it back.
Mm.
um, and sort of later in life now, I pick up a lot of new skills from reading, and also going back on songs that I learned by ear, which is pretty much everything, and going, how was that actually played?
Yeah, yeah.
Or how could I do that better? Because I used to hear one thing when I was younger. I used to hear a drum fill, and I could never really pick up exactly what it was. So I would just do a fill. That was how I worked. Was like figure out the beat from listening to it, and then when there's a fill, just do a fill, like whatever it is. So I've gone back and like learnt heaps of stuff from songs that I just kind of jammed over. Where now I'm like learning those parts, which is
Here's
great.
a here's an
25.
interesting question I want to ask you. So to jump in is kind of like with drum fills. It's interesting because I was a drummer when I was a kid at high school. I still drum now, but when I
Mm,
was young, I would just like play fills, and they would change. Every time I played the same song with our band or whatever
mm.
it was. How important are drum fills in songs? Like if someone's listening, they're like, you know what? Yeah, I kind of make up drum fills just randomly too. Like
Yeah.
how important do you think it is to actually think about what you're doing going into a different section? And that we've got those classic chops, but
Yeah.
yeah, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important, and sometimes doing a fill doesn't mean you have to show all your skills in one go. Like my favorite fills to play are like what I call Dave Grohl fills, just really straight, like da, 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 just big single stroke rolls. And I mean, you think like "Smells Like Teen Spirit," that part going into the chorus, or the very first bubble, double, double, they're like two of the biggest like ear drumming moments in drums, probably in music, and they're pretty straightforward. That first one's a bit gnarly, but
Hmm,
that's what it really sticks in people's minds. Same like
absolutely.
Think Back in Black, da 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 da. It's such a great moment, and it's perfect for the song. So yeah, I think it's for me being such a song-based drummer, because I learnt playing to songs. It's whatever's right for the song. And unless you're John Bonham and you can somehow fit triplets into everything and it sounds natural. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Or Neil Peart or someone. But yeah, I think it's definitely important to listen to the musicians around you, to find what's right for the song. Yeah.
Excellent. What are some bands that you think that you've mentioned some already, but who are some drummers from bands that don't fit into that rap that sorry, I was going to say rap, that rock category that haven't also influenced you? Because if I look at, like I encourage people to, if they're interested in a particular drummer or band, then go find out who their influences were. And it's
Yeah.
surprising to find out that a lot of the time it's not the same genre. It's kind of, a different style.
Yeah.
So who are some other drummers outside of just the rock ones that you'd say have been influenced or you've appreciated?
Yeah. I mean, it's very, for me in my playing, it's very rock and even metal based, but I do try to, I more go back and go, what were these bands influenced by?
Okay.
A lot of my favorite drummers are the drummers in my favorite bands. So they might not be technically the best drummers on their own, but they play on my favorite songs. So to me, they're the best, right? So yeah, I find myself going back, and even even like someone like Elvis Presley's drummer, a lot of the old, like, it's still rock, right? It's old rock and roll stuff. But, I get influenced by a lot of that, and the feel of those guys as well. And I just get my mind blown by jazz music, really. Like drumming. It's not something I have a lot of chops in. I can play jazz 101, but yeah, I definitely get inspired by a lot of that because I can't really figure out everything that's going on, which is really exciting.
Totally. I mean, the only, sort of anything near jazz, the salsa, I can't play it, man, but I can certainly eat it. So,
Yeah.
with Dorito chips, which is
Yeah.
always good. So you're actually so you're the drummer for Ekko Park, and I've seen you guys play live. Your energy is absolutely insane.
Thanks.
I think the guitarist that I saw, I know that you've just recently had a change, but
Yeah.
she stood up on the table right in front of us and was playing. So that was a sign of how much energy you guys have, which is fantastic. So what's it like playing in that band? How long have you guys been around for, and what are you currently doing? Tell us a little bit about your history with that band.
Yeah, man. So I've been in Ekko Park for 10 years.
Wow.
Band's been going a year or two longer than that, but yeah, I've been in the band for 10 years, and we've released 3 records, and we're about to release some new music in the next week, actually.
Excellent.
Yeah, 11th of March. So I don't know when this goes out. Maybe
This will be out probably around just after that. So
cool.
we'll make sure that we give you a special one to put out on the 10th.
So if you pop onto the Spotify or the Apple Music, you can listen to that song right now. It's called
Yes.
Breakdown. But yeah, so we're going to be releasing some, a few new songs over the next few months. And our last record, which came out in 2020, was nominated at the Music Awards last year we were nominated for Best Rock Artist after that release. Our good friends Dead Favors took that one out. And super stoked for them. Some of my best friends, and like we all went to the awards together, so it was pretty cool that someone in the crew took away an award. We thought that was pretty special. But yeah, we've got a few shows coming up. We'll be playing in the middle of the year, and we just got a new guitarist. Jesse joined us at the end of last year, and we've just started writing with her, which is really exciting. And yeah, just looking forward to getting into the studio in the middle of the year and getting some new music out with her really soon.
So with your band, Ekko Park, how does that songwriting process work? Because like I know that Amuse has kind of shifted away from, but I'm always really interested, and I think people are. We always hear the end product, we don't know what happens with it. So
Yeah.
where does that start? Does someone come in with a riff, etc.?
Yeah, so it always starts with Joe, who's our singer guitar player, frontman. He's got ideas all the time, and it always starts, for the most part, it starts from an acoustic guitar and him humming a melody or singing some words, getting something going. And he always voice memos those just on the spot and fires those out to us, and we just kind of look at it and try to get a feel for where this is going to go. And we sort of discuss that. Me and him do a lot where it's the two of us, and we discuss like what's the feel of the song's going to be. I try to come up with like beat ideas and think of structures and things like that, and then we just kind of get in a room and sort of hash it out from there. And he's really great at hearing drum parts as well. He's not a drummer, but he can think of beats really great, and we have a good communication with each other where I can understand what he's trying to get, or what he can hear, and then that always kind of morphs into my playing as well. And that's not all the time, but it might be, I might be stuck on something or can't quite hear what needs to be going on there, and he will go, oh, I've got this idea, why don't you try this? So me and him work really well together to piece the ideas together to get a solid track down.
And I think, when you're listening to bands, or you've been listening to music your whole life, and you are focusing on like, particular groups and the way that they write their songs, you kind of have this instinct to kind of know where to go next, right?
Mm.
And so sometimes as a musician, we find ourselves providing an idea or suggesting something to somebody else, and
Mm.
they've already kind of got a preconceived idea in their head of what they want, but
Yeah.
you're really attached to this idea. You think this is the best way to go. Does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it does sometimes for sure, but we always try everything. Like, so
Excellent.
if anyone's got an idea, it's like, let's give it a go. And ideas just morph all the time. You know, it's funny when you listen back to like original voice memos, or then like the first rehearsal practice with it, and then maybe the last step is, Brian comes in and lays his bass track down, and all of a sudden it's an entirely different song. Or because we sort of work in stages, when we get to
Mm.
that last stage, people have different ideas and it changes around again. And then that can change again when you get into the studio, and yeah, you're adding layers and lots of different parts and vocal harmonies and things. So it's yeah, it's cool going back and then listening to that progression, because once it gets to the end, you're like, that's the song, and you can sometimes forget how it got there.
Yeah, totally.
But I
And
really
you
enjoy
work
it.
with a producer, eh? Quite a bit. Do you use
Yeah.
you work with a producer?
Yeah, as Greg Haver's done our last two records and some singles, and he's done the recent tracks as well, and he'll be doing the next lot of recording too. And he's great to work with. We have a great relationship. He's also a drummer, which is really great for me because he my ass and works me really hard. And yeah, but we're really on the same page, and understand what we want to get, not just drumming wise, but what our sort of mission statement is, what we want to have at the end as well.
So
Yeah.
that's another cool thing that we can just discuss a little bit, because when I teach my students, I talk to them about who produced this, and I've always been fascinated with looking at who a
Yeah.
producer is, and getting excited about knowing that somebody's going to work with that particular producer.
Mhm.
So for example, in my case, it's Brendan O'Brien's one of my favorite. So
Yeah.
I know the sound that he had with Pearl Jam, and when he was working with Incubus, it has that raw, real vibe to it.
Yeah.
So how does a producer work, and what does Greg do when he's with you? How does he actually help shape your sound? You'll have a vision, but what happens with that process?
Yeah, so it's definitely changed as we've built that relationship with him, and we've worked more. I feel like it's definitely changed where we know, you know we're comfortable around each other, and we know where things need to go as a collective. So he always comes in, and he'll have his notebook, and he already have some demos, and he'll come into the rehearsal space, and he'll fire some ideas out at us, and it could be as simple as cutting a chorus in half, or moving a certain part around, or um, yeah, just any little idea like that. But I quite often find it's always stuff that I never think about. It
Mm.
almost seems it's obvious, but because you're so in it, it's just having that person who hasn't been there the entire time come in and go, hey, why don't you change this? And it's like, why didn't we think of that?
And do you find that you'll have sometimes like a disagreement, and you'll be like, no, I want to put my foot down. I want to have this chorus this way, or this thing this way and this way, because you've heard it, and then that must happen, right?
Yeah, it does happen. I mean, it hasn't really happened a lot, and I think like I've said it a few times, but we sort of know what we're wanting here and what we want these songs to sound like, and it's just great having that
Mm.
extra set of ears. And for him, like a big part of him is getting the best performance out of us.
Okay.
That's what I always feel, is he always says to me, just go play and I'll tell you if you need to, if I can hear something different, or if I think you need to, be playing a drum fill a little bit tighter, or moving, changing some voicing, moving around the kit, hitting a crash cymbal instead of a hi-hat, just little things like that.
Mm.
And that gives me a lot of confidence, because then I'm not overthinking while I'm recording. I'm just playing, and then it sounds really natural. And I always want recordings to sound like we're in the room playing together.
That's the best. Like that's one of the things I did, believe it or not, was buy a record player and actually go back through my
Mm,
dad's collection again and set my amp up so that it's just playing out of my two speakers
yeah,
and just sitting in that, sitting in my chair and listening to it. It's beautiful when you get that sound,
yeah, man.
like so that if that, and I hear that in your music. I was listening to it actually on the way to school this morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that's fantastic. A couple of other things is, like with music, there's a lot of people out there that probably have thought about getting into music, but
Mm,
there's there's sometimes there can be a cost. Like drums cost a lot of money,
yeah,
but you can start off cheaply.
yeah.
But what are some things that you can talk to us about, it's not just about making money, and what insight do you have around that? What is music brought to your life
Yeah,
that you can share with somebody else?
totally. Like, I think like when I was younger, I used to, and it was a different time as well. I mean, CDs were massive. There was MTV. There was C4 TV in New Zealand. Like,
C4, yeah.
and it was an awesome time. It was almost like you had a lot of these Kiwi bands who were and Kiwi artists that were at the forefront of like New Zealand entertainment. And we still have a lot of that as well. But it just felt like music was the main thing.
Mm,
And I think that I've seen a lot of people who have stopped playing or playing in bands because they couldn't make music their full-time gig or make their band their full-time gig. And that used to be my goal was, I just want to play in the band and that's it. But I slowly, started to figure out actually I could make music my full-time job in my life by doing a number of different things. So I used to, just want to be around music. So I worked at a music magazine. I used to work at shows doing merch or doing the door or go on tour as a tech. Um, any little thing like that. I'm not a very good tech, by the way, but I used to do it a little bit. And yeah, and then I started teaching. Like I filled in at a school, and I sort of thought I don't know if I'd ever get into teaching, and I just loved it. And so that between the band and teaching, filling in for the odd covers gig or doing some recordings and things for people, I found that I was doing music all the time. And yeah, I think if you can find a number of different ways, like it's very rare that you find one way to make a living out of music. So if you can find a few different ways and piece it all together, it can be really exciting, and you get to do what you love all the time.
yeah, yeah. And there's so many backing tracks now that you can find online,
Mm,
so that you can feel like you're playing in a band just for the personal enjoyment, right? Like if you have an electric drum kit, you can whack on headphones,
yeah,
plug it in and have your backing track playing. That's
yeah,
what I used to have a kit set up here for a while. I was just jamming Tool songs the whole time,
yeah.
trying to play them.
Oh, I
But
did that this
beautiful
afternoon, and,
feel.
and I love like where I work at the school I have. It's like if I get 5 minutes to go play a song on the drums, I still get the biggest kick out of that. Like I'm 7 years old again
Mm.
because it's just so much fun, and it's what I try and encourage, um, not just students but anyone who plays drums to do is if you're stuck for something to practice, it's like just go play. Like you don't have to be practicing all the time. Sometimes you got to use what you've been working on, right? So put
Mm.
on some music and just play along and have fun. If you're going to listen to music, you might as well play along with it, right? So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
always
And
encourage.
you learn that skill as you play with any instrument. Once you start playing with other people, you're thinking about your instrument, but you're also listening out to what they're doing
Yeah,
and responding to it. We spoke a little bit about jazz at the beginning, and
yeah,
that's one of the things I love so much about jazz. Like I could listen to Kind of Blue over and over and over again
mm,
because it's, Miles Davis and his group just responding to each other
yeah,
and using music as a language.
yeah, yeah. Totally.
So yeah.
But yeah, I think just yeah, no matter what age you are, even if you haven't started playing yet, just if you want to play, just play and have fun. Because that's at the end of the day, if you talk to any musician, if they're in the biggest band in the world or they've just started out, it's all about really they have fun playing. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it anymore, right? So
Totally. Have
yeah.
you read Dave Grohl's book, Storyteller?
Do you know what? I've got it. I haven't read it yet.
Oh man, if you have not read it, I'm telling the people watching, you need to read it. That is an absolute banger of a story. What
Yeah,
an incredible story.
Well,
he doesn't.
it's a story of stories, right?
Yeah, well, that's the
Yeah,
thing, and like you hear how he got into it. It's very inspiring.
yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah,
cool,
man.
man.
I just watched his episode of Hot Ones, and it was awesome. Have you seen that show?
Oh, is it the way they eat the chicken, spicy chicken wings?
Yeah, so he did one, and it was great.
Did he survive all of it?
Yeah, he nailed
Oh,
it. Yeah,
good.
sorry for the spoilers. No, he was
Spoiler.
brilliant. Yeah. No, he was brilliant, man. But yeah, that was a real good one.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up there, man. It's been great to talk to you, and we look forward to hearing more of the Ekko Park music. You said that it was going to be out on March the 11th. Was that right?
Yeah, man, that is correct. Yep.
I will upload this episode March the 10th, so we can get a bit of promo going in advance. And what was the name of the school that you teach at?
So I'm at a school called Elliott's Music Academy. So Elliott Roslin started the school in 2016 in Albany, and I taught drums there for 5 years. And me and her have gone in together to open a city location. So we're on Khyber Pass, like
We're
in
good.
Uptown Grafton.
Yep.
Yeah, we teach all ages and cover a lot of instruments. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. So we're sort of working through that a lot at the moment, and building up students, which is going really well. And yeah, we've got a great team of teachers. It's fun.
Cool. So I'll make sure I put a link in the description as well as a link to your band, etc.
Cool, thank you.
Other than that, I make sure that I get my students at school not to dislike me. I will say make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, fam, because that's how it works. And
That's what we got to do, man.
until next time, thanks again, Nick, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Cheers.